Now, I think it's fair to say that Game Week 8 went all right for me. Using my bench boost, I scored 82 points, and I've halved my rank to 628k overall. And in this video, I'm going to go through my transfer plans for Game Week 9. Alright, so a quick little counter through then of how my team has gotten on in Game Week 8 is so far, because there's still obviously one more fixture to go. So my rank isn't completely set in stone, but I think I'm very safely inside the top million now, which at this stage of the season, after 8 game weeks, I'm pretty happy with. That's kind of the top 10% of the game. I've used 2 of my chips in the bench boost and wildcard, and I think structurally my team is pretty good. So my bench boost. So my bench contained Dubravka, James Tarkowski, Caicedo, and Joachim Andersen. Now, the outfield players got 5 points, but thankfully a 9-pointer from Dubravka basically saved my bench boost. I mean, 14 points from a bench boost, probably not as much as I was wanting, but I don't really think... I think you can class that as success. Rest of my team, obviously we had a clean sheet from Arsenal. Gabriel, I think he hit DEFCON, got some bonus and an assist and a clean sheet. Just a ridiculous game for him. Gabriel, in my mind, is just the best defender in the game. David Raya with a clean sheet. Rodon, I was expecting a little bit more from Rodon, but again, they played Burnley, so I got the Burnley points through Dubravka. Joachim Andersen came off with a hamstring injury. I just think with the nature of him as a player, 4.5 million, sort of a bench option for me. Not in any real desperate need to get rid of him. Senesi, DEFCON, but obviously conceding 3 goals and getting a yellow card left him with just a 2-pointer. Iliman Ndiaye hitting DEFCON. Bruno Fernandes with, well, an assist and some bonus against Liverpool. 1-pointer from Rangers. We'll talk about him as the video goes on. Semenyo, another return from him. An assist, but a yellow card, so he went down to 4 points. Caicedo, for whatever reason, benched post the international break. There was always a little bit of injury doubt about him going into the week. Chelsea completely transformed the way that they play after he came on in the 45th minute. What a surprise. So had he played 2 halves of football, there may have been some DEFCON points in there for him. João Pedro, we'll talk about him as well. Haaland, I mean, another brace for him. The guy's just in ridiculous form, isn't he? He's the best player in the game at the moment. 26-pointer is my captain, and then another blank from Victor Gyökeres. So, yeah, as my team has gotten on in Game Week 8, that's how we're looking. So looking ahead to Game Week 9, I've got 5 free transfers, right? Which is a very unique position. I've only ever had this once in FPL. Well, there's only been 2 seasons. I had it once last season as well, but I don't think there are going to be many times this season where I have 5. And what I quite like about 5 free transfers is that it's basically a mini wildcard. So if I were to do nothing, my team of Raya, Gabriel, Senesi, Tarkowski, Bruno Fernandes, Semenyo, Ndiaye, Caicedo, Haaland, João Pedro, Gyökeres, Rangers, Rodon, Andersen, Dubravka on the bench, right? It's not a horrendous team, but with 5 free transfers, if I don't use one, I lose one. So I think it makes sense to make some transfers. And what I'm going to do is talk about some players in my team that I'm not necessarily overly enthused with and what I might be able to do about them. So the first player is Rangers. Now I've 5.6 million, well, whatever his price is now, is decent-ish value. 3 attacking returns from 8 games is not too bad. But when you put it into the context that he's got all of those returns, in the space of 2 game weeks, 1.17 XG, 0.63 expected assists, not really hitting DEFCON. I just think I can do better. And, well, I've got a potential solution for how I might be able to do that. There's one midfielder that I'm really looking to target, but if I go back to my team, I've already got 3 Arsenal at the moment, right? I've got Raya, Gabriel, and Gyökeres. I want to buy Saka. The stats there don't look amazing, but I've been really impressed with Saka. He scored 7 points in Game Week 8, despite not actually getting an attacking return. He hit DEFCON, bonus points, and obviously kept a clean sheet, and it led to him scoring 7 points. Whereas Gyökeres, if he doesn't get an attacking return, he's always going to blank. And the fact that Saka took the last penalty for Arsenal gives me hope that he's their penalty taker, even though that's not necessarily set in stone. But it's just frustrating owning Victor Gyökeres. So my plan is to sell Gyökeres with a view to get Saka. I know it's a very sideways move, but with 5 free transfers, these kind of luxury-ish, the value of a transfer to me is, well, I can do it, right? I'm in a position where I can do it, and I think, to me, it feels the right thing to do. And I also think with the way that FPL is going at the moment, I've said this in a couple of the videos I made over the weekend, but I just think having a really strong midfield and then one or two up front is the way to go. So I'm going to probably sell Reinders for Saka, and then I would obviously have to sell Gyökeres to facilitate that. And because I no longer have my bench boost, I don't necessarily need to have like a really strong bench. So I think based on what we saw in Game Week 8, now I'm not saying this guy should immediately be in all your teams and should be starting every week. But in Kruppi Jr., I think he is the best minimum price forward in the game. After scoring a brace in Game Week 8, I think even if Evan Nilsson is back, he's got a very reasonable chance of starting the game in Game Week 9. 3 goals from 5 appearances. Nottingham Forest at home up next. I'm not actually going to play the guy, but at the same time, I just think he's the best minimum price forward. So that's one move I think I'm almost certainly locked into this move, where I do Reinders to Saka and I drop Gyökeres to Kruppi Jr. I think that's a fairly sensible move to make. I'll look at the rest of my team, and there's one more player another player that I'm not necessarily overly enthused by, and that is João Pedro. Now, Kai scored a hat-trick at the weekend, right, in Jean-Philippe Mateta against Bournemouth. Bournemouth, one of the top teams in the league for expected goals conceded, first of all. So putting 3 past them is quite an achievement, I would say. So, Palace put in a good performance in that game. But Mateta, right, he scored 5 goals from 8 games so far, but he is underperforming his numbers. So he's put up 7.66 expected goals so far this season, right, which is basically a goal per game. And if you look at the XG and XGA combined is over 8, which means it's over 1 expected goal involvement per 90 for a 7.5 million forward. The data is just, it's levels above what João Pedro has put up. The only problem with Mateta is he's got Arsenal away as his fixture up next, right? So I'm selling João Pedro, who is at home against a promoted team, to buy Mateta, who is away against quite possibly the best club defence in world football. I don't think there is genuinely a better team defensively than Arsenal. I think that's a fair comment to make. So, yeah, I think the move makes sense, but does it make sense to do it in Game Week 9 up? There's a team I'm going to show you at the end of the video, which is like my utopian FPL team. I really want Mateta. I've had enough of João Pedro, but I think I could probably hang on for one more week, right? The contrast of Sunderland at home versus Arsenal away is probably enough to do that. But just going back to Mateta as well, the only thing that slightly puts me off is European football and the fact that they don't really have a backup to Mateta, to Palace. They've obviously got Edouard. They could probably play one of their sort of wide players up front, but Mateta's that main man. But I just worry about the amount of minutes that he's going to end up playing and how that impacts his Premier League form. But yeah, that's just one thing I'm thinking about. I guess João Pedro plays in the Champions League for Chelsea too, and Chelsea don't have all that many options up front as well, given the injury situation that they're in at the moment. So I suppose both players kind of come with that same problem. But yeah, that's a move I'm eyeing up. It's just whether I do it in 9 or 10. And finally, one more Crystal Palace player that I'm eyeing up. So if I make those moves, if I do Saka and Kruppi Jr. in for get Gyökeres out and I get Reinders out, that leaves me with enough cash in the bank to upgrade Caicedo if I want to. So I could potentially upgrade Caicedo to Ismaila Sarr, but we're in a position again where we're comparing Arsenal away for Crystal Palace versus Sunderland at home for Chelsea. Caicedo's probably going to score 4 points just by proxy of getting DEFCON. There's a good chance I think Chelsea keep a clean sheet in that game, so that's a potential 5-pointer for Caicedo. And then obviously he's been doing okay for attacking returns this season. On the flip side, said it when we talk about Mateta, Arsenal best defence probably in world football. So that leaves me thinking, is it worth going for Ismaila Sarr? However, one thing I would say is that Crystal Palace do seem to excel. They do traditionally punch above their weights. They do, even without the good team, in previous seasons gone by, they put in good performances against top teams. Historically, they've beaten Man City twice in a season, so on. And they've just gone 18 games unbeaten before obviously losing to Everton. They could do something against Arsenal. So I know I've said, it's the best club defence in world football, blah, blah, blah. I've got double Arsenal defence. They could do something. And I think particularly one of their main threats right now with no Eze is Ismaila Sarr. He's done pretty well this season. 3 goals, 1 assist from 6 appearances, so 4 attacking returns from 6 appearances, amassed over 3 expected goals. So, you know, the level of returns are pretty good. And the fixtures after the Arsenal game, you know, when we looked at Mateta, we saw a 3-game week view. For 5 game weeks, they've got Brentford, Brighton, Wolves and Man United. After the Arsenal game, I could see Ismaila Sarr scoring in all of those fixtures, to be honest, because none of those teams coming up are the best defences by any stretch of the imagination. So, again, but it's the same as Mateta. It's just a question of, because I'll be selling a Chelsea player to bring him in. It's just a question of, is this week the week to do it? I just wanted to quickly look at some Solio data as well. I really like looking at Solio, just to see what they think in terms of projected points. There'll be a link in the description to Solio below. Salah, interestingly, is still the top player for predicted points for the next 5 game weeks. Personally, for me, with the form that Liverpool are in at the moment, I'm happy to go without Salah. There was a chance, I think, if he put in a really strong performance post-international break against Man United in game week 8, that would make me reconsider. But to be honest, it doesn't. The only reason I was reconsidering Salah is because I thought potentially he could be the best captain in some game weeks, and according to this data, he is. In game week 9, 10 and 12, he is a better captain than Erling Haaland, according to this data. But I personally, I'm not bought into it myself. Outside of that, we've got Saka, so that means I'm looking to buy the third best player in the game. And Gyökeres is ranked way below that. So I think that almost justifies the transfer. I know there's not a whole lot of difference between the 2 players. And I know, just knowing my luck, when I get rid of Gyökeres to buy Saka, Arsenal get a penalty against Crystal Palace and Gyökeres takes it and scores. I just know that's going to happen, but I think it's the right move. Bruno Fernandes, who I already have. João Pedro, who I currently have. Njai, I don't have Isak, but I don't want Isak. Enzo, maybe he is another alternative, potentially, to Ismaila Sarr, but then it means I'm moving sideways from Caicedo to Enzo. And when you look at the difference in expected points between Enzo and Sarr, it's very small. And to be honest, that's mainly, you know, the difference is 0.18 expected points. And in game week 9, difference is 1.9 predicted points. So if you look at game week 10 to 13, Sarr is levels above Enzo Fernandez. So if I'm looking to make the move in 10, which I probably will do, then Enzo Fernandez is not as good as Ismaila Sarr. He's the one to get. Semenyo, who I already have. Gabriel, who I already have. And then Mbeumo and Cunha, who I think, they're decent options. But if I can get Sarr, if I can get Njai for less money with similar or better projected points, they're the ones to go for. So I think my team largely aligns to, apart from maybe Salah and Isak and Gyökeres, but obviously Saka's above Gyökeres, it largely aligns to where we're sitting in terms of Solio projected points. I've not entirely based my team on this model. I've built it based on my view of who the best players in the game are. It's just nice to see the 2 kind of aligning. I spoke earlier on about this kind of utopian FPL team. And if I make all the moves that I talked about, so I get Mateta, Sarr, Saka and Kruppi Jr. in, that was obviously be using 4 free transfers. I'd have 1 in the bank, 1 free transfer left, and 0.3 million left in the bank. So the moves are all at the moment affordable. It's just a case of whether these players go up in price too much and I can't make the moves anymore. I guess if push comes to shove, rather than getting Kruppi Jr., I could just get someone like Mark Gu. Or if I needed to, I could downgrade Joachim Andersen. There's always ways to facilitate. But I think right now, providing from game week 10 onwards at least, we talk about the game week 9 fixture, Crystal Palace playing Arsenal. It probably puts me off bringing in Sarr and Mateta this week. So imagine there, João Pedro and Caicedo. I think I probably will do the Reinders and Gyökeres out for Saka and Kruppi Jr. It's just whether I bring the Crystal Palace assets in. But I thought I'd put this team on screen because in 1 game week's time, ahead of game week 10, I think this is how we'll be looking. And to be honest, with the demographic of the game in terms of DEFCONs, penalty takers, the outstanding players in the game, I think this team's really good, isn't it? It's quite possibly the best team in FPL. And I can get to, this is basically, if I were on a wild card, I'd pick something similar to that, and I can get to it with free transfers. So we're inside the top 1,000,000. I'm a game week away from having what I think, I know I've already used my wild card, but I'm a game week away from having what I think is the best team in FPL, which is probably this. I think we're in a good place in the game, and hopefully this video gives you, even if your team's not similar to mine, it gives you a good idea of like my thinking, and also the players I'm targeting, I think, are probably going to be the similar players to what you should be targeting too. So even if your team's not similar to mine, you might not be having had a bit of luck go my way this season, particularly with that Dubravka 9-pointer on my bench boost. Just gives you an idea of the kind of players you should be targeting. And yeah, this team next week, I'm really excited to have it. I guess there's one open question as to who I captain. For me, I think Haaland, even against Villa away, is a good one. And to be honest, you know, looking ahead to the game weeks we've got coming up, obviously game week 11, he's got Liverpool at home. I still think that's a good fixture to captain him for, based on how Liverpool have been playing at the moment. Just conceded a couple of goals to Man United, 4 losses in a row. They're in a bit of trouble at the moment at Liverpool, so I wouldn't let that fixture put me off. Yeah, really happy with how that team looks, and I'll be honest, looking ahead to game week 9, this team plus a bench boost might actually be better with all the transfers used than it was in game week 8, but there you go. All right, well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that and found it useful. If you did, please leave me a like rating. It did feel a little bit rambly, that one, but that's the whole idea of these videos. You know, it's my open kind of, I don't necessarily script these videos. It's my kind of unscripted thoughts and thinking process around my team. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, found it useful, please leave me a like rating. Let me know in the comments if there's any players I should consider that I'm not already. I think I've got kind of the best shortlisted players in mind, but if there's any that I've missed, please let me know. And yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Golden Goal channel. It should be just there, right there on your screen. And yeah, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.